It's Cricbuzz Chatter. Adam Collins, Michael Vaughan, Lord's Day 1. The Hello Turf, the pavilion behind us, a day that was mostly Australia's with the exception of a bizarre over where Joe Root took 2 wickets in 4 balls. Back to that later. 5 for 339 at the close. Stephen Smith doing what Stephen Smith seemingly always does at this ground. 85 not out, a half century to Warner earlier. Labuschagne batted well. Travis Head blitzed it in the middle of the day. But Steve Smith, this ground, brilliant.
Yeah, and his entrance was something that I'd not seen before. He came down the steps from the dressing room. Cameras didn't pick that up, and then they saw him come from the long room through the gate, and as he got to the boundary rope, he just stood. And he kind of assessed the ground, and the crowd started to boo. I don't know why they're booing Steve Smith. That was 2019 time, and he just looked around as almost to say, "This is me. This is my ground. This is the ground where I've had a double century. Played so well in 2019. Obviously, he got hit by Jofra Archer, which ruled him out for a while. But you know, he's a class act, and I thought England made it very easy for him. You know, when he first walked out there, I think his 25 came in the quickest manner in Test match cricket in his first 15 balls, half volleys on his hips. He was away, and then suddenly he goes, you know, I'm in. I don't need to do anything anymore because I'm in. England can just bowl as much as they want to me. I'm just going to sit and allow Travis Head to strike it. He looks set for a big one. Australia have controlled the day. I mean, the conditions in the morning were as gloomy as I've seen at Lord's, and the toss seemed to be a beauty to have won. I don't think the ball did as much as we all thought, but I just think England were casual. You know, I think the whole day, the summarisation from an England perspective, they'll say they bowled well, and at times they bowled okay, but just a little bit of sharpness in the field, a couple of chances, one hard to Joe Root's low to his right. Ollie Pope has to take that one at 4th slip, and just every time they got a wicket, I'm thinking, come on, switch on, be hard on Steve Smith. They made it too easy. Be hard on Travis Head. Before you know it, he's on 25 because he's had 3 or 4 short wide ones. I don't know, I just think this England side, they create this great vibe, and they've had so much positivity, and they've played an expansive game for a year and a half, and they've had all the great press. And I don't know, I just wonder whether that casual nature that they've brought, as if Test match cricket is just another game, and the Ashes, it's not just another game, I'm sorry. The Ashes matter. And when the Ashes matters, you have to be that little bit sharper and that little bit more precise, and that casual nature that they kind of provide us all with. I want that to go. It's all about winning that moment. And every time you look to England and go, win the moment, actually Australia knew how to win the moment. And England have got to get better against quality a team as Australia are. They've just got to get better at winning those key moments in the game, which they didn't do on day one.
Yeah, and they couldn't just go bang bang either. Australia bat for the entirety of the first 2 hours. Khawaja out on the stroke of lunch. Great ball from Josh Tongue in the side today. I thought that was a shrewd selection with his extra airspeed. But the 102 run stand between Smith and Labuschagne, it felt like we were in, I don't know, second gear for most of it. Then Head walks out at 5. They get rid of Labuschagne. They got the 2 men back. They went the short ball, the fly slip last week. The unexpected, it's Bazball after all. And they pretty much went 3 slips of gully, leg gully, 2 men out, never bowled a bouncer at him. I couldn't quite work out what was happening there.
Yeah, I mean, tactics changed because of conditions, and I guess the overhead and the ball started to swing around a little bit, so they thought pitch it up. I thought probably the right tactic, but when you're up against someone like Travis Head, who's he's a risk taker, he comes out playing a few shots, you have to get him early, and you have to be so sharp in your lines, you have to make it very difficult. Almost say to Travis, you've got to play the ultra risky shot to get going. And England offered him too many juicy ones to hit the ball to the boundary. Just that sharpness. I've spoken about it at Edgbaston. England played okay at Edgbaston. You know, for 90% of the game, I thought they were pretty good, and then that last 10% they just switched off, and Australia get over the line. Today, I thought England were casual too often. You know, just little moments that I study and watch. Drizzle came and they went off.
Yep.
You know, and before and after, I see Khawaja and Warner waiting to come out to bat.
Already before England went.
In awful conditions for batting. They wanted to get out there and bat, yet England are on the balcony. Yeah. Just little things. They're only 1% things, but I'm studying that and thinking, wait a minute, England haven't been switched on. And 339 for 5 on a pitch that's doing a lot more than I thought a week ago at Edgbaston. And when I look at Josh Tongue, I thought he was excellent. You know, that extra 3 or 4 miles an hour difference to the rest of the England attack. Just got that movement and that kind of zip out the surface that we weren't seeing. When I see Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark and Cam Green, and then late on in the day I see a ball from Joe Root, all right, it was a horrendous yahoo from Travis Head, but you see spin. You know, you're looking at Australia's attack of 5 and thinking every single one of them will be looking forward to bowling on that surface. And I think if you go back to last week, I don't think anyone was looking forward to bowling on it. Whereas I think here you get something out of it as a seam bowler, and the Baz bowlers will certainly be challenged by that attack.
Yeah, Jimmy Anderson called last week's surface his kryptonite, and like today is kind of more tailor-made for him. And I thought, yeah, Tongue with that bustling front on action, the extra movement he generates. The ball to Warner was a beauty and got him on 66. Warner did ride his luck to an extent. He was dropped. He was trying to play a sweep shot from outside the off stump inside the first 20 minutes. Less said about that, the better. But he did guts it out, and Warner's spot is in doubt right now. If he has 2 bad test matches in a row, he'll probably have his career ended. But to have the presence of mind, he's got a problem with his hand at the moment as well, Warner. To get to there, it may just be the turning point.
Well, I actually think that opening partnership was a key to the day, because when you go out as an opening pair and the conditions aren't in your favour and everyone's expecting the ball to nip all over the place, you watch the balcony and you watch the Aussie balcony and they were studying. So the likes of Labuschagne coming in at 3 and Stephen Smith, they were staring at every ball just to go, what is going on? And I thought that opening partnership, inside about 10 or 15 minutes, created calmness and sent the message back to the balcony, it's okay out here, don't worry. The ball isn't zipping around. Warner played a beautiful drive through extra cover off Jimmy Anderson early, and I went, oh, okay, it must be a decent pitch if you're playing that kind of shot off Jimmy Anderson early in an innings on a green top with the lights on. It can't be that bad. And I think that calmness that opening partnership created, yes, they played and missed, but you're allowed to do that.
Yep.
And they had a couple of chances, one each, one low down, as I mentioned, to Joe Root, which probably a 1 in 6 chance. You see Cameron Green take them all the time, but he's got massive mitts. So I think the opening partnership was key to creating that that calmness in the dressing room. Australia are a quality team. I think we've seen in the space of 3.5 weeks that they've been here, they've beaten India with quality cricket. They somehow found a way in that first test, and they weren't at their best. And I think of the 2 teams coming to the second test that I think can have an even higher ceiling in terms of performance, I think Australia have got more of an improvement from the first test than England can have. And if anything, I thought England were lacking today compared to what they saw at Edgbaston. I thought England were worse today than they were at Edgbaston. And obviously Australia with the bat in hand showed great patience, great experience. And they've got the key of Steve Smith still out there on 85, looking at another test century, looking at getting his team to over 400. And 400 here in England, we know, in the first innings, particularly here at Lords, is a big, big total.
All right, Vaughanie, for the first time here at Lords for the week, let's go into the hotspot. In the hotspot, Vaughanie, I want to ask you a slightly more abstract philosophical question. It's about the public mood and the relationship with baseball, shall we say. I'm just detecting out there that despite all the goodwill that's been accrued and earned over the last 12 months, that it might be used up quicker than people perhaps think. I saw your old teammate Kevin Peterson teeing off to this effect, peripherally to this earlier today.
No,
Interested where you stand here.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I love quality cricket. I love expansive cricket. I like flamboyancy. I love people playing with a smile on the face, looking like they're loving the game. But it's the Ashes. It's different. The Ashes is what defines you. It's not about being friendly all the time. It's about winning those key moments. It's about delivering your skill at the right time. It's about taking your chances, putting pressure on the opposing side. And today England didn't do that. They weren't ruthless enough. This casual nature that they've created around the vibe. The preparation was very casual, playing golf rather than playing cricket. That's the way that England do these kind of things. And for a year and a half they've been lauded wherever they've gone. All the headlines have been positive. They'll wake up tomorrow and the headlines aren't going to be positive, because I think the reality of people watching them and going, wait a minute, but this is Australia you're playing against. You've got to win. You lost last week, and yet all the talk was that England had almost won. Zach Crawley, a young player, saying they're going to win here by 150. He's going to have to get some to get to that target.
How about the casual bit? It was like, oh, well, probably 150. It was like,
it's like, I know it's tongue in cheek, but you're thinking, don't say those things. Ollie Pope, they go to, no, we'll win 3-2. Great fun, but the Ashes matters, and I think they'll wake up tomorrow morning and those real positive vibes and those great columns that even after Edgbaston, I thought a lot of the news was very positive about the England side. I think tomorrow they might get a bit of a wake-up call, and the reality will set in, and people, fans, journalists, pundits, those that have lauded them for a year and a half will go, wait a minute, you're losing and you're getting absolutely hammered. And on day one at Lords, when you had to win day one because you're 1-0 down, you just went missing a bit, and the mentality wasn't quite there. So I think they might be in for a little bit of awakening tomorrow morning. Yeah,
it was a bad day to have a bad day. Right, before we go, let's press fast forward. Fast forward, looking ahead to tomorrow, they only bowled 3 overs with the second new ball this evening. Anderson and Broad, while they had good moments today, they weren't able to really penetrate in a way that brought pressure and therefore wickets. It could be a pretty big day for the 40-year-old, now 37-year-old in Broad's case as well. Anderson said last week that he had a tough time of it on the Birmingham surface. I wonder how crucial that might be in their short term as to where they sit in the pecking order.
Well, the reality is he's coming to an end. He can't keep playing for England forever, and I think we've seen in the first 2 Test matches that Jimmy's not anywhere near the Jimmy Anderson that we've seen in the past. He's just lacking that zip. The pitches are slow, and his 81 miles an hour skill bowling and not getting the kind of action out the surface that we've seen in the past. I thought on day 1 he just looked a bit leggy. But I thought Ollie Robinson looked leggy as well. I didn't think he had the kind of zip. And on these slow wickets, you just need that little bit of pace. That's why when Australia get the chance to bowl, and it will be on day 2, those 4 quicks bowl at 88 plus. So they will create more doubt in the batter's mind. We saw from Josh Tongue that extra pace just creates doubt and just gets that ball moving that little bit later and quicker. Jimmy Anderson, I don't know what his future holds in terms of when and how and what he's going to do, but it's certainly a time that we have to start considering what's going to happen to Jimmy Anderson. He's certainly not going to play 5 Test matches. What Jimmy needed really on day 1 was a chance or 2 to go his way. He bowled okay, but he's not the Jimmy Anderson of old. Jimmy is a legend. He'll go down as the greatest, in my opinion, that's represented England with the ball in hand, and one of the real greats of the game. But there will come a time, and I think it's coming soon, that we might not see too much more of Jimmy Anderson in a Test jersey. 14
away from 700 Test wickets. It'll be a tantalising subplot through the rest of the match and indeed the series. Michael Vaughan, that's him. I'm Adam Collins. We'll chat to you tomorrow on Cricbuzz Chatter.